One of the highlights of this year's Melbourne Documentary Film Festival is a film called Her Shark Story. And it's my great pleasure to be speaking to the director of the film, Ignacio Walker. Ignacio, welcome to Movie Metropolis.
Hi, Peter. Thank you so much for having me here.
Great to talk to you. And this is such a fascinating documentary about the biggest shark in the world, the whale shark, which I didn't know much about. Tell me the origins of this documentary.
I've been working on the wildlife filmmaking industry for more than 10 years now for Netflix, BBC, and so on. And I've always encountered this sort of problem that our films always get to the same audience that are really passionate about nature. And that's great because we do films all about celebration of nature. And they're always focused on just natural history, just animals, very few human interaction. So for a while, I always thought about, I've been mainly working as a cameraman, as a cinematographer, and for a while I wanted to direct my own film, but I always wanted it to be a human nature story. And after looking for a while, I found this beautiful story of Sophia, who's this young marine biologist from the Galapagos who reconnects with her absent father by finding and trying to save the biggest shark in the world. So it's really how the biggest shark in the world reunites and sort of, help heal a relationship between a father and a daughter. So it's a story that I think we can all relate to. And it takes place in the Galapagos, which is this really like out of the world, landscape, really unfamiliar place. It really feels like an epic adventure more than a documentary. And it's very appealing for the whole family.
Absolutely. No, I was absolutely fascinated by it. Tell me about talking with Sophia Green and also the footage that in Galapagos, and it's an incredible collection of material in your film.
Thank you. It's hard not to get a good shot in Galapagos, to be honest. I mean, wherever you put the camera, there's something amazing. And I also did the underwater cinematography. So, just having Sophia, who's whatever, normal human size, next to a 60-foot giant whale shark, the biggest shark in the world, which is swimming by her in peace, is an awe-inspiring experience. And for me, just talking to Sophia, like before we started filming the documentary, and just when I got to meet Sophia, she has this really strong, contagious energy. She's a very inspirational human being, a very happy person, a very driven, you know, marine biologist for her cause. And she does like three different jobs in order to work for free for the NGO with her father in order to save the whale shark. So there's so much passion behind her and her father that goes through the film. And when people get to see the film, they're gonna just will want to go out there and swim with whale sharks because you see that in Australia, you see whale sharks in Australia, and it just changes the perceptions of sharks in general because we don't only see whale sharks, but we also see like five or six other different species of sharks that do nothing to us, and it's a really beautiful story.
It is. There's some great underwater footage. Did you have much production behind you? Did you do a lot of the shooting? How did it all work?
Yeah. So ironically, we shot on the boat, underwater, with the drone and everything. This would usually take like a whole boat and a crew of at least 7 to 15 people for a BBC or Netflix documentary. But because we always wanted to focus on the intimate story of Jonathan and Sophia, and because this is an independent film, it was just my co-director Dennis and I who went on board on one of these expeditions along with Sophia and Jonathan and did everything ourselves. We did drone, the underwater camera work, and the camera on top. We did sound. We almost ended up cooking. Like we really did everything. But we never sacrificed production value. Like what people's gonna see, especially on the big screen. I understand the cinemas in Australia and Melbourne are really big. So getting to experience the biggest shark in the world in this contrast with this really beautiful landscape in Galapagos is going to be really overwhelming for the people on the big screen.
It certainly is, and it looks great on film. I'm intrigued. I didn't know much about the whale shark, and of course, this was shot largely in Galapagos. And you said they can also be found in Australia. How prevalent is the whale shark around the world?
Yeah,
And is it a dangerous creature?
yeah. So I've been working as a wildlife filmmaker for more than 15 years. So for me, whale shark was always there in the background. But when I started working on this film, I thought, oh, we have the biggest shark in the world. It's a great marketing tool. And I realized that very few people actually know about the existence of the whale shark. Like you would ask on the street, people would tell you white shark, hammerhead shark, but very few people would actually name the whale shark. So I realized that there's a mystery behind this animal, that it's so beautiful and with the white spots and everything people's gonna see. But to your question, they live all around the world. They only move around tropical waters, so around 22 degrees plus Celsius. And you can find them everywhere in the world, in the Galapagos, in Australia, in India, in Mexico. And they are a very friendly species. I mean, all sharks are really friendly species, to be honest. They don't go out there and hunt for humans because we're not part of the food chain. We only see those accidents that are bad accidents. Those are the exceptions of the rule. But the whale shark, being the biggest in the world, it's a filter feeder. So they feed their esophagus is as big as a baseball ball. So they really feed in very small fish or zooplankton and phytoplankton, and they're just this really elegant presence that moves across the oceans with an almost divine presence to it, which is it's just, I mean, you saw the film, right?
Hmm.
It's for me, it was very inspiring to bring that to the screen.
Are they in danger at all?
Yes. So like the critical thing about the whale shark is that just in the 575 years, so in one human lifetime, their population have been cut from in half. So in one human lifetime, there's half the whale sharks there were 75 years ago. And this is very bad because the numbers are still declining. There's a lot of bycatch by accident of the whale shark, but it's also being targeted. But I do have to say, though, even though we talk a little bit about that and the consequences of the extinction of on driving the extinction of the whale shark, which is really a protector of the oceans, um, that this documentary is not one of those films that is gonna make you feel guilty about eating fish afterwards. It's really a happy family film with a happy ending that it's meant to inform you, much like My Octopus Teacher did. Like, for example, My Octopus Teacher, this famous documentary from Netflix, it wasn't telling you we have to stop eating octopus, but you probably hear a lot of people that stop eating octopus after watching My Octopus Teacher. So we wanted to take a very similar approach. We wanted to inspire people rather than telling them, they're killing all these sharks here, and there, and being gory about it. I really wanted to make it more as an inspirational film, especially for children or young people, to inform them about the whale shark and the importance of the ocean without being, like with a strong conservation message, but like pointing fingers at people. Like I wanted really to be like an enjoyable film rather than like a gory or sensationalist film
Hmm.
about the death of the natural world.
Okay, no, it certainly comes across as a very positive and remarkable film. And I also like the way you use music and animation and a few other aspects in your film to tell the story.
Thank you. One of the key things, I mean, my composer, Ivan Jadricic, who's also from Chile, he's extraordinary. He really is a big fan of John Williams, who's like this Star Wars, Spielberg composer. And when we started doing the film, we wanted it to look feel as much as a movie as possible. We didn't want the music to just enhance the action, but we scored like live motifs and different melodies that would accompany the audience. And even if you don't hear the dialogue, the music will actually carry you through the film to the point that we recorded the orchestra with 50 musicians in Budapest, right? And also the animation also enhanced a lot of the story, and it brings children. They pick a lot of interest in children as well, and it's a beautiful way to illustrate things that otherwise it would have been really hard to get those ideas across.
Okay. All right. Tell me about the editing process because obviously you would have shot lots more material than you eventually ended up using. Tell me about that
Yeah,
process.
that's the nightmare of documentaries.
Yeah.
That's the invisible thing that people don't see. So, in a film, you have a script, you know the scenes that you're gonna end up having on the film. You film them and you choose the best shots. In documentaries, we shot this for 4 years. So during the 4 year production span, we always had an idea of where do did we wanted to go with the film, but in documentary, a lot of things happen that you don't have control of. And this happened over and over again. And we have roughly 90 hours of footage that we shrink down to 76 minutes, so a little more than an hour and 15 minutes. And my editor, Julie Podolsky, who's an American, like Emmy Award winner editor, she did an amazing job weaving the story because you have from one end the father daughter reconnection story, and then on the other end you have the whale shark story that they are trying to save. So putting these two parallel stories together and making sense of each story and sort of feeding from one story to the next and building up to the ending of the film and making sense of all of it, it was a huge challenge. And Julie, thankfully, with my writer as well, Barney Revel, who I worked with from BBC and Netflix before in this Life on Our Planet with Spielberg, they really put together, make sense of this story. And I'm just so proud of all the whole team that we put around the film. And I think you can see that in the film. Once you see the film, you can see all these details from the music, the editing, the writing. And by writing, I mean making sense of what we already recorded, right? In documentary, you don't write the story. You write with what you're getting from the real world. So I'm very excited for people in Melbourne at the film festival to see the film, and I'm sure they're going to have a blast.
Yep, absolutely. That whale shark is incredible. And so well shot. How much involvement did father and daughter Sophie have in fashioning the film, and how did they react to the final version?
That's a great question. Wow, Peter. That's a really good question. So one of the approaches that we did, I keep telling people that we broke the biggest documentary rule in order to make this film. Every producer will tell you, never tell your subject to get final cut, right? And we gave actually Jonathan and Sophia, the father and the daughter, final cut because we're portraying their personal story. And I told from the very beginning to Jonathan and Sophia, like, I want you guys, when we finish the film, to see the film and have a say. If you don't like it, if there's something you want to change, if the life that we are portraying about you doesn't come across as the way you think it should, we'll change it. And they were very generous, open their hearts and their personal life to the audience, and they had notes obviously at the end of the film, and I'm really proud that we gave them that choice because a lot of the times in documentary producers will film the subject and then they will build the story there any way they like, be sensationalist sometimes, jeopardizing the integrity of the subject, and I think that's morally wrong. So I'm really happy that both Sophia and Jonathan had a say on the final cut of the film.
Okay, that's so interesting to hear that. Now,
Yeah.
apart from screening at the Melbourne Documentary Film Festival, you've had other screenings. Tell me about where the film is screened and the reactions you've received.
Yeah. So we've been so far in 4 continents. We're heading to Europe later this year as well. We have Australia next week, of course. We started here in the United States at the American and Documentary Film Festival, which was amazing. I did not expect. I mean, obviously, I showed the film to my family before showing it out there, and they all love it. But you never trust your family with the taste, right? I always think you do a great work. So it was very nerve-wracking to show the film to an American audience. The main character, it's a Latina woman, her father is English, so there's a lot of cultural different backgrounds as well, which is very interesting. And the reception was amazing. It was so good at the opening that actually someone from Pixar Studios invited us to show the film at Pixar, which we did like a month ago, I think. And after that, we showed it in Ecuador. We did a release in Ecuador where we sadly, we couldn't fit everyone inside. So 80 people were outside the theater that couldn't fit in. Then we showed it in Chile, also sold out. We showed it in Martha's Vineyard in America. We're showing it in Boulder, Colorado next week. We showed it in Korea in the biggest screen we had so far, 400 people watching our film in Korea. We opened the International Ocean Film Festival, also in San Francisco in the International Ocean Film Festival. So it's been around, it's moving around, and the audience is loving it. I'm really loving the fact that people from very different backgrounds, Asia, Europe, the Americas, right? They're all liking the film. They're having a very similar response to the film. So the message, right, the story, the style get across regardless of your cultural background. And I'm really excited to see how the Australian public will receive the film. Sadly, I'm not going to be there, but I'm going to be like, refreshing everything, all the messages at the time of the release.
Okay, yes, I'm sure it will go over very well. I was just wondering as I was watching the film, could there be an IMAX version? Because seeing the massive whale shark, etc., on the IMAX screen would be great.
Yeah. I do understand that the Melbourne Documentary Film Festival have IMAX screening. I'm not sure of the technicalities of our film in particular, if we're making it to an IMAX screen.
Ah,
Again, the one in Korea was almost an IMAX size and it was extraordinary, the best experience I've had so far. So I'm really hoping it's going to show in an IMAX theater at the Melbourne documentary, but sadly, I don't know the details of that. But regardless of the size of the screen, it's going to be a treat for the audience. Of that, I'm sure.
of course, absolutely. I fully agree with you. Well, look, congratulations on the film, Ignacio. And I just wanted to ask you, are you working on any other projects at the moment?
I have a couple of projects that I'm working on that we should start filming hopefully next year. These things take a while. So for her short story it took 4 years, and for 4 years I couldn't talk about it. And I've
Mm,
worked with Spielberg, with Barack Obama before, with Morgan Freeman, and for the duration of the filming, you are never allowed to say what you're working on, which
mm.
is very frustrating. So the next project is a secret, I'm afraid.
Mm.
But as soon as it's done, I'm gonna make sure it reaches the Melbourne Documentary Film Festival, so we can meet again and discuss the next movie, Peter.
That would be great. Look, congratulations. We've been speaking to Ignacio Walker, the director of Her Shark Story, screening as part of the Melbourne Documentary Film Festival this month. Ignacio, thank you so much for talking with me.
Thank you, Peter. Have a great day.
You too. All the best. Bye bye.
Bye.